I was curious about fake chips these days. Seems like everything is fake. One of the chips that we've known 100% for a long time that were faked were the 555 timers. So nobody really complains about fake 555 timers. They must be okay. I've never heard anybody complain about them. So I wanted to test them. I've never really tested them, see if they actually meet the data sheet. So I needed to guarantee that I got some fake 555 timers. And so I went to AliExpress and I found a bag of 50 for $1.60. A bag of 50 for $1.60. Now that doesn't include shipping, but total with shipping was $3. So I'm paying 6 cents a piece for 555s. 6 cents. That's pretty cheap. Now, that's usually where the story ends and then we go measure them. But there's a better story for how I got these. So when I got the package in the mail, it was from an address that I didn't quite understand. Come on, focus thing. Come on, you could, there we go. So none of this made any sense. None of these letters or words made any sense to me. P.O. Box, okay, I understand that, but I don't know what language that is. That's a weird thing. And then it says Futi and Tuvalu. So I had to go look it up. I asked everybody in the house here, have you ever heard of Tuvalu? And nobody said no. Nobody's ever heard of it. So I looked it up, and its claim to fame is it's the least traveled to country in the world. And it's in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, sort of around the Samoan Islands. It is what do they call those? It's a coral ring, and it's if you're on Tuvalu and you're standing there, you can see the ocean on both sides of you. It's that narrow. It's very, very narrow, and there's not many people who live there. They do make the news because it's one of those countries that might disappear with global warming. It might flood and be gone forever. So yeah, go look it up. There's a really cool YouTube of some guy who goes there. Anyway, Tuvalu. So anyway, yeah, shout out to all my friends in Tuvalu. If you're from Tuvalu, please comment below. I don't know where they got these things. There's like two industries in Tuvalu. One is fishing, that makes sense. And the other is cargo ships, I think. I don't know if it's a port where they stop or they can stop, or I don't know what they do there. But anyway, maybe a cargo container crashed up on their shore full of 555s. And there's some guy who's got a truckload of them. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, let's talk about 555 timers today. Sorry for the long introduction. So if you hook up a 555, and I have it in a circuit here, and you get a picture on the scope, usually people say, okay, that looks great. Now, one of the things that I noticed oh, come on, get out of the way. There. One of the things I noticed was if you zoom in, there's a little bump on the edge there. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. Maybe that's the fake, right? No, I've got a good part in there right now. Let's take a look at some good parts, okay? So this one is an old TI part, and I'm pretty sure this is a true TI part. Let me pull him out. I have some old Signetics parts that are super vintage. Probably followed me as a kid here. Okay, so here's a true Signetics part. Did Signetics invent this part, or did Fairchild? I'm not quite sure. I thought it was Signetics, but Fairchild's got an old data sheet too. Anyhow, yeah, it's got a bump too. So the original part had bumps. Okay. Is that all 555s have that bump? Let's disconnect this. Let's go to... So, I've talked about this before. Hewlett-Packard would buy chips from makers, but instead of putting the mark on them, like 555, they put an HP part number. So the HP equivalent part number for a 555 timer is a 1826-1080. That is a 555. All right. And I have a couple of those. Let me put one of those in here. And we'll hook this one up. And it's got the bump in it. In fact, it's got quite a big bump on this one. This particular part was built by Signetics. All right. And let's take a look at another vendor that Hewlett-Packard chose. This is National. This is National Semiconductor. And let's see how their part is. Look at that. No bump. So some of the National Signetic parts don't have a bump. They're a very clean edge. They have a little bit of wiggle, but no bump. So that's very interesting. So there are different versions of 555s out there. All right. So which one did China clone? Or did they clone multiples? I don't know. Let's take one of my Tuvalu parts. We'll put that in here. Now these are crudely marked TI, but they're obviously fake. I mean, they have a bump, but they have a very, very, very interesting bump. Okay? And you can say, no, it looks the same to me. No. Let's go back. Okay? Let's go to the bumpy HP one. That was one of the... This was the Signetics part. It had a nice bump in it, so let's show him. Okay, here's the Signetics bump. Okay, now I'm going to do a reference on that, and so when I remove it, we will still have that as a reference. And now I'm going to put in the Tuvalu part. And look at how much faster the Tuvalu bump is. So, are these actually CMOS parts? Are they just really small lithographic geometrical sized transistors that operate much faster? Is it just a faster process? If anybody knows, that'd be great to know. I'm suspecting it's just a newer process, that people just don't build slow parts anymore. Right back in the old days, all the analog parts were really large line widths and everything. So when they cloned the 555, they just made it smaller geometry, and oops, by the way, it's faster. So look at that. I bet you the part runs faster too. I haven't done the test yet to try to prove that it's a CMOS part or not. It's conceivable it is, but I don't know that. But look at that. Yeah, the bump is super, super small on it now. I find that just fascinating. Yeah. So are Chinese clone 555 timers better than regular 555 timers? That's just super, super interesting. Let's see if we can get it running faster. Let's see if we can prove that maybe these parts actually can oscillate faster than the old parts. That'll be fun. So let's see how fast we can make one of these go. So I've got a regular 555 in there. And I'm going to change the capacitor. So the timing diagrams in the data sheet are a bit non-specific about what is the maximum speed these things will go. All of the charts go up to 100 kilohertz, but they won't go anything further than that. But it looks like maybe this is a line of 1K resistor, and this is capacitance. And I'm going to use this lower capacitance, see if we can squeak a little bit more out of it. So I put in a 30 puff, which is pretty small. and we are getting 870 kilohertz, okay? If I take out that capacitor altogether, that's sort of like as fast as it'll run. There's no capacitor, so 900 kilohertz is as fast as it'll go. So let's put the capacitor back in. All right, so let me put in what I'm claiming is the clone part. Let's see, that goes there. All right. And let's go up here and look at that. 1.9 megahertz. 1.9 megahertz. A megahertz more than the other one. That's a lot. This guy goes fast. I'm going to pull out that 30 picofarads. 2 megahertz. So yeah, the clone part is way faster. At least double, at least. So yeah, there you go. So is it a bipolar part? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say these clone parts were just CMOS. I mean, why not? Why, who runs bipolar in their fabs these days, right? Everybody runs CMOS. And so maybe they're just CMOS parts. Or maybe they are bipolar, but they're just such a newer generation of part that the geometry is so small, they just run twice as fast now. So if anybody knows the answer to that, that's really fascinating. So, what have we learned? Maybe it's the very first clone that's better than the original. Is that a statement I'm going to make? I'm going to say it. I want to see what people think. Yeah, are 555 clones better than the original? That's just amazing.